Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very warm welcome to World This Morning. I'm your host Hajra Sati and joining me is my wonderful co-host Ahmed Nawaz. Assalamu alaikum Ahmed, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, but I'm just trying to match that energy that Hajra has in the morning. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's been a good day so far, and we've got some great things coming your way in the various segments that we've got, and we're really going to have a great show. We're hoping for that. And like I always said, keep sending your feedback because it's very important. I saw some of your messages yesterday as well. Of course, we'll be touching those very tricky subjects that you want to, but so far, Hajra's the brains of the show. She's getting all the research done, and I'm just trying to assist as a co-pilot, aren't I?
Thank you so much, Ahmed Jazakallah, for saying such wonderful things about me, but it's actually the teamwork that actually makes this show such a great thing. We have our executive producer who was very helping, and we have our researchers. They're also very nice people, helping me, assisting me out there.
Yeah, someday you should try to get all of your team on that couch as well.
Yeah. I would definitely ask them to come here, show their behind the camera experiences. So, Ahmed, I came across a very wonderful article on The Guardian, and it talked about that we humans keep negating the emotions of the animals. And it was about how the elephants or the herds of the elephants, they had actually the human emotions, because if you sedate the younger elephant in the Zimbabwe, actually they did that and they pull it out from the herd, and they did so by saying that they're not suffering as human beings suffer. But then they saw the reaction of the mother. She was going absolutely crazy
for it,
and she was feeling so much pain and she was mourning for her kid.
I've got this different perspective. I think they're more emotional than us now, because we've become very toxic, haven't we? But that being said, we've got a bunch of top stories that we will be discussing with all of you, giving you the latest of insight of what's happening around the world, especially in Pakistan as well. Let's take a look at the top stories, where first of all, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has commended the role of the Muslim World League and Saudi Arabia on important issues that are being faced by the Muslim Ummah, especially the issue of Palestine and Kashmir. He was, of course, talking to the Secretary General of the Muslim World League, Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al Isa, who called on him in Islamabad. The Prime Minister said Pakistan greatly values its relationship with Saudi Arabia, which are deep-rooted in common faith, values and culture.
Okay, so that's wonderful. I think that the Prime Minister is involved in such kind of activities. So moving on to another top story, which is about how Finance Minister Isaaq Dar says collective efforts are needed to get the economy back on the track. He was addressing a press conference after negotiations with the exporters. Minister said local currency has strengthened after his return and that the actual value of the US dollar is below 200 rupees. He also stressed the need for an immediate increase in the exports. And I do feel, Ahmed, that exports is a chapter or the very, I would say, the bone of contention that we need to have more exports on them. But this is how we are going to solve the current account deficit problem.
I think a lot of credit needs to be given to the former Finance Minister, Miftah Ismail, as well, because what he did was he put a ban on imports. And that was just because of the current account deficit and, of course, to maintain that dollar, because we were way above the export level in imports and then trying to get it back as well. We're also, World Cotton Day is being celebrated today as well, 7th of October. Of course, since 2019, the day has been marked to not just celebrate a cotton harvest, but also to raise pressing issues. And with the advent of technological advancement in the agriculture sector, how can we increase cotton's yield as well? And of course, Hajra, very important for Pakistan, because when we talk about our economy, it's an agri-based economy.
That's true.
And of course, in school, we've been reading about Pakistan's potential in the cotton industry. So that's very, very important as well. Now, we're discussing some very major things in the show today. Of course, one of them is building an ethical society, and the role of education is very important.
Right. So, Ahmed, you are a father, right? You have two kids. And how much is it difficult or is it important to instill the role of ethical values into our kids, especially in a sort of a digitalized environment where they're exposed to so many narratives out there? How much important, or do you feel is difficult job as a parent for you?
I think it's very difficult, because it's not just, instinct-wise, you can obviously get those values into your children from a very young age. But at this young age, where my kids, for example, are, one of them is 4, one of them is just 7 months. So what they're doing is they're observing their parents daily, and they're picking up each and everything. And my God, do you have to be careful with what you're doing and what you're saying, because they'll pick it up on immediately. But on my part, I think I'm very blessed, because I've got a partner who's been very supportive in this.
Wonderful.
And of course, she's been putting a lot of effort as far as the mannerism and, everything is concerned. Fathers, are a bit overwhelmed with their kids. We like, to give them some leverage. But I like the fact that, both of us play an important role in that.
Okay, and I do feel that in this entire equation, the role of teachers can't be neglected, because
Never.
they are, as you said yesterday, they're the shadow parents, right?
Yeah.
And in Islam, it has been given such kind of place to our teachers, because the respect, the sort of values that they instill into the kids, and not just one kids, but the entire class. It is such a difficult job doing that. So we need to eulogize them, to appreciate them more, and to give such of credit and start the conversation kicking off.
Absolutely. We've got some fantastic people on the show. First of all, we've been joined by the regional academic head of the educators, the North, and she's of course in this region managing more than 146 campuses. I'm very proud because I've got an educational background of the educator, so I like that I've got my people on the show. And of course, we're going to be talking to her as an educationist and her journey as well, how things are reforming in the education sector. Very honored to be joined by Ms. Shumaila Akram. Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam.
How are
Thank
you,
so
ma'am?
much. I'm perfectly all right. How are you?
Very well, great to have you on the show. We also have a young guest, don't we?
True. And she has been engaged in some sort of ethical activity, and we would really like to showcase her talent to the environment, to our people, to our users out there. So because people can get the inspiration from her, and I do feel that such sort of inspiration is very much important in today's environment. So we're very lucky that we have been joined by a student of an educator. She happens to be Ms. Shanze Moin. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great to have you on the show as well. Now, of course, the domain and the realm of education, like Hajra mentioned, shadow parents, it's not just ethical values that the schools are instilling. Teachers play a vital role. I think students, are all there, and for a teacher, each and every one of them is equal.
Right.
But to polish them and get that diamond element out is the crucial role of a teacher, first of all. So, Shumaila, first of all, being a regional head, having an outreach of more than 146 campuses in the North region, I mean, every school has its own story. Every student has its own story. Then how do you see the revolution of the education sector when we think about our times at school and now?
Well, education has completely changed over the period, and especially with the pandemic of COVID, I think we have to change over the period of time, because our challenges have changed. And when our learner has been exposed to a lot of information like Hajra just shared, so we had to change our teaching strategies, we had to change our ways of teaching. Our learner is more exposed. He or she already knows 2 + 2 = 4. So we have to come up with more critical thinking based activities. We have to indulge them in such of activities that they are prepared for the world where they will be actually contributing to this society. So it would be maybe 2030s or 2040s would be the right time to quote for these learners who are currently in schools, where they will be contributing to the nation and then to the global world. So like you said, we have to build a ethically strong society as well, because we were having discussions backstage, and we were discussing that we are getting lots of graduates and undergrads are there, and there are lots of students who are there in the market, but they are lacking in skills. So we as an institute has always tried to instill and work on the skills of our learners, the life skills, which can help them in their real life and practical life. And there are lots of initiatives on which we are working on. There are speeches and debates, there are global collaborations among the students internationally as well. Then we are providing them collaboration among each other as well, so that our students sitting in main urban areas can come to know that what are the learners doing in rural areas or in an outskirt, which I may say. We face challenges like internet was not available. The devices were not, devices were not there. So we had to reach to them. We had to teach our teachers, first of all, that please, this is the way, these are different ways to communicate with your children, and this when students are not allowed to come outside their houses. So, and at that time we also realized that, parents also realized that how important is the role of a teacher. A child sitting at home isolated was unable to learn the social skills. Until and unless we interact with each other, we are unable to, understand that how we are going to behave, how we are going to handle situations. And society, I believe, is comprising of 3 main layers: individuals, then it's the small groups, the nations, and then it's the global society. So we can only contribute to the global society when we work on individuals. And honestly speaking, Ahmed, I think that it's not only Pakistan who's facing issues. It's all over the world. Yeah, they are all facing issues. That's why these SDGs are introduced. There are different goals on which the whole global community is working, and they are actually funding different projects to support people and to work on it. And we believe that we need to actually strengthen our youth, who can go and instill and actively show their skills. That's the reason Shanze is a living example sitting next to us, and there are a lot of other students who are working on lots of different projects with which we have come up with, and we have asked our students to actually plan their actions to impact the society. And I think Shanze can give much more details about it.
Okay, so sure, Shanze, go ahead. We believe that you're working on some project which is inspiring. So go ahead, tell out your story.
So basically, the project revolves around bringing positive change in our society. Like every single person impacts as a whole.
Right.
Like every single decision they make, every single action they take. So basically, this project revolves around enhancing kindness in the society, because it's not that much spoken about.
Right.
So my project is called Wall of Kindness. It's I'm sure people know about it. It's basically a spot where people give their resources in stable condition that they no longer need, so that other people can have those resources. So basically, we're going to collect those resources and we're going to put them so that other people can also have a chance to use them and, you know, have a better chance to use them.
But so far we've seen that it's been limited to apparel only, you know, clothes, we've seen that, some places we've seen warm blankets. But do you think that it should not be restricted to just that and can go beyond this as well?
Yeah, I do, and that's why we're also planning on putting other stuff there, such as people could spend time there and, you know, teach them basic stuff, basic skills, so that they can also have a chance to succeed in life and get better and, you know, learn more skills. So we're not only are we going to put clothes and other resources there, we're also going to put out their skills and other kindness and the other actions which basically, you know, promote kindness.
So obviously, you know, acts of kindness can make a huge difference.
True.
And Hajra, how important is it that we see that this project, for example, should not be restricted to just clothes, but you could probably be teaching a skill. You could probably be giving them a skill that might help them not just financially, but in life as well.
Right, Emma, it is very much important that we engage our kids, our students in such kind of activities, because I do remember we had a guest on our show and he talked about how when he was young, he was inducted into the Scouts. And he said that that sort of was very common when they were growing up, when our parents' generation was growing up, but somehow that trend has, I think, somehow faded now, and it needs to be focused more. So coming to Shumaila, I do feel that the ethics is something which is intricately linked to the culture, and culture is constantly evolving, constantly changing when it comes to that. And I do feel that we are living in a very digitalized age, Ahmed, where people are focusing a lot on their rights. So their right to freedom, the freedom to do this, freedom of movement, etc. And they're not focusing on their responsibilities, right? So I do feel this is the era of de-responsibilitization, because people are not taking their responsibility.
Well, that's a tough word. Well,
yeah. So how do you make sure that you groom your kids in sort of ethical values which are also compliant with our religion, with our society, and are not out of bound with, you know, other cultures when it comes to that?
Thank you so much. I think this is a very rightly pointed out issue, because honestly speaking, I'm so privileged to work in an organization where there's so much of a diversity. If I talk about my own region, there's Kashmir, and then we have GB, and then we have Swat, and then we have immediate Islamabad, and Rawalpindi and Punjab. So every culture is to be respected.
True.
And no single individual is wrong in their perspective.
True.
It's us teachers who have to correct their perspective at time or understand the logic behind it.
Right.
So we are contributing through different little initiatives on daily basis, so that they can understand through, because you would understand and you would agree to me that school is one major portion of any individual, that is the longest period where you are in an institute for 10 years maybe, right? So, and 6 important hours of your daily life are there.
Right.
So where teachers can influence For example, we are having Global Dignity Day coming on 19th of October. We celebrate it every year in every school, with where all other staff is involved. We involve our parents, we involve our community around those schools. So if we have 225 plus campuses, so you can see the larger impact of that, right? And it's not only our institute, I'm sure many public and private schools are doing the same. So the whole education sector is putting into it. Like you people just mentioned about World Cotton Day. What's the need of mentioning that particular day? Because we, being an agriculture country, we need to focus on that. And we at institutes need to actually instill these skills in our learners, that we need to acknowledge every important aspect of the society. Like I told you, we always talk about that we are getting deficit, with the energy deficit is coming up and we have to save energy and that. And we need to think that how I as an individual can contribute to it. When I talk about an individual of Pakistan, I might not be able to purchase a solar panel, but I can actually switch off a light when I'm leaving the room.
Conserve electricity, yes.
Conserve electricity. And for this, one of my students like Shanze, there's a group of students who have proposed an idea that they will be making energy leaders in their school starting from grade KG or playgroup. So there's an energy leader with a badge who is there in the break to switch off the light or at the pack-up time. And you can understand its impact when he or she will go home, will actually practice the same. And this way, how well can we impact the global society as well? So ethics go hand in hand with norms, values. We need to show respect, and right balance is to be maintained. And that's where the role of educationists come into action.
That's on a, like you mentioned, and Hajra, I can relate to it, because that's on the perspective of an educationist or a teacher, because as Shumaila mentioned, that most of the time children are spending in school, so that becomes very important in their part of life as well. But do you also believe as a parent as well that maybe we might not consider ourselves in that league, who but unfortunately there are parents out there who've probably not been that enough of a parent lately. That focus hasn't been there, because when we've interacted with students, all of us have got different social platforms, we've gone places, sometimes you do come across a shy child who's sitting in the corner being scolded by the teacher as well. Everything is happening, the uniform is out of the place, the discipline isn't there, the hygiene probably isn't there, and it's all negative, negative, negative. But has somebody ever gone there and asked that what's wrong? And then eventually you come across the answer that it's problems at home.
And this brings to the very important point that Ahmed has raised, the training of the parents, which is equally as much essential as that of teachers, right, when it comes to that. So are you interacting with the parents and imparting the skills or the training to them to how to deal with their kids? Because I don't think so there is any training or support group in our country that teaches parenting to the parents when it comes to that, right?
Thank you so much. And I think Ahmed, our group director, Mr. Ali Raza, he has rightly come up with this initiative of Save Our Stars. This is our recent initiative where child protection policies are all there in public and private schools, but nobody is bothered to focus on its implementation. And like Hajra said, we need to train people. We need to get trained. And my basic functionality operating in North is also on the professional development of our teachers. And it's not just academia, it's also related with all other fields. So we are shortly launching this training session for the teachers to make a child smile on the real basis, to understand what their problems are and how we can complete this parent, teacher and student triangle. We also need to be empathetic at the same time, and we need to go into the shoes of the parent who might not be able to afford the devices or something, but we need to give the right compensation to that particular individual so that the child doesn't feel left out or feel shied of. And a child should be proud enough to stand in the school and tell that I am a son of a maybe peasant, or I am a son of a sweeper. That's all right. That sweeper is also contributing to our society.
Absolutely. I think the most important part of our society.
Exactly. And that's where we need to respect the dignity of our individuals who are working for our society. So every one individual is playing his or her role. So if we are actually, we need to not only realize these issues, but we need to start working on it, start
Absolutely.
playing our role on that, so that we can make that difference in our society.
Absolutely. Shanzi, as a student, how can you relate to making a difference in society? Because obviously right now you're seeing goals ahead of you, there's education as well, and obviously Shanzi's got this very interesting project, and we've heard she's received a mini grant for it as well. So definitely you're going to be seeing an upstage of that project very soon, inshallah, as well. So how do you feel responsible for contributing to the society?
I think that everyone affects everyone. Basically, like, other people look at other people and they follow them. They follow in their footsteps, especially if you're a senior. I, as a senior in my school, I know that juniors look up to us and, you know, they follow in our footsteps. So basically, everyone affects everyone. Every small decision they make, they follow. And like you mentioned, parents and children. Like, children look at their parents, they look up to them, they follow them. So everyone plays a role in teaching and, you know, promoting knowledge and stuff.
Right, and this brings to us a very important point of the change agents, which Shanzi is alluding to that, because change agents is very important, and that is exactly the person who is sort of an influencer and who influences the decisions of other people when it comes to that.
Yeah.
And I do feel when you're sitting in a class, especially in an educational setup, change agents are very much important, because kids, I think, get influenced very easily, and they are very much keen observers
But
when
the
it
right
comes to
kind of influences. These
Right.
days it's all about digital platforms and influencers there
Right.
who are promoting products probably.
True.
But then again, I think Hajra is right, and I love the quote from Shanzi. I think I'm going to document this, that everyone affects everyone. I
True,
think that
that's
should be a
true.
bumper sticker by now.
True.
But Shumaila and Shanzi, thank you very much for being on the show. Unfortunately, that wraps up this segment.
Thank
But we'd love to hear more from you as well. And good luck for your project. And obviously 146 campuses. I guess you're really doing a lot of work out there.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I would just like to
Yes,
add
please.
one last thing to wrap this up, that I would just request all the people around out there who are looking at us, that be it an educationist, be it a lawyer or any profession, we need to decide that what legacy we have to leave for the people who are coming and following us. So we need to see that who are we and how do we want us to be remembered. So please think about it, that how do you want to be remembered?
Definitely. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
ladies, for
much.
being on the show. We'll just go towards a short break, but we will be back and we've got some more interesting things to discuss. Stay tuned to World This Morning.
Welcome back, and before going on to the break, we were having a conversation about the ethical values, especially in the educational setup, and how much it is important in today's very digitalized era to talk about it. And also, Ahmed, I do feel that we have a very important role model. We have a very important personality to whom we can look up to, who has given a very comprehensive sets of code of values, and we can talk about it and we can get inspiration from him. But somehow, I think in the maze or in the cacophony of this digital world, we are forgetting it, and we are sort of getting far away from those set of values, and it is very much important that we reinstill all of those values into us. Of course, I am talking about Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam, who is Rahmatul lil Alameen, and it's the month of Rabiul Awwal, and it's a very dear month to us because it was the month of the birthday of the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. So, without any further ado, Ahmed, we would like to introduce our guest and would like to get the Kickstarter conversation around the ethical values in Islam. So, we are very lucky that we have been joined by one of our very favorite scholar, who happens to be Imran Sandhu Sahab. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and welcome to our show.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Very well, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for joining us.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And moving to our second guest of the show, who happens to be Nath Khan, who happens to be Muhammad Saad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Thank you for joining us, Saad, as well.
So-
Yes, Hajra, I think Rahmatul Alameen, when you've mentioned this, there's nothing more to say about this, because
True.
Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
Sallallahu
wasallam,
alaihi
Khatamun Nabiyeen, was sent to this world as rahmat for all of us. You know, the universe, the entire universe, we all believe in it, but it was created for one sole purpose, and that was for Khatamun Nabiyeen, for him. And that's why I think when you mention his life of loving his people, of spreading joy, spreading kindness, patience, each and every trait of morality that you can think of today has been practically displayed by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why it becomes very important, Imran Sahab, as Hajra mentioned, that in this day and age, we have actually left that right path and we are now disoriented. How important is it to once again regather ourselves and consider that this is not why we're here?
نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين. What you are referring to is, look, whenever Quran starts, it starts with Surah Fatiha, and Allah Himself defines one of the traits as Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. When He tells about Himself that I am Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim, there is a hadith to that effect that if there are 100 parts of His mercy, He's kept 99 parts to Himself, with Himself, for the Akhirah, and one part has been sent down to this universe. So all the universe that you see, moving flawlessly, is one part of His Rahmah only. Like you see the sun and the moons and the stars and the trees and the sky and this all, the environment that you live in with all those gifts of nature only represents one part of His mercy. So you can just imagine what the 99 parts would look when you will go to the Jannah. And the best part of His mercy is sending down His prophets for the hidayah or for the guidance of the humanity, and not only 124,000 messengers, but the last messenger who He Himself named as Rahmatul lil Alameen. He said, I have not sent him only because he becomes a rahmat for all the worlds. So He is Rabbul Alameen, and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Rahmatul lil Alameen. So there's a connection between the value, the basic value and principles of Islam. Not only this, Allah says that I have created Raham. Raham is the placenta of a mother. So I have created Raham, and I have named it after me. So whosoever cuts ties with the Raham, relatives, he cuts ties with me. So not only this, that He created this universe and He sent down the messenger of Allah to teach what is rahmat, but also He said that he's named the basic reason or the basic basic form of creation through placenta of a mother, and named it after Him. And He said that whosoever does not do Sila Rahmi, when we say Sila Rahmi, it means holding ties with your relatives.
Right.
So, the basic unit of a family in Islam is a family of the people from the same bloodline. So breaking ties with them means annar. There's a hadith says that breaking ties with the people who are from the same bloodline is
is inviting nar or hellfire, and making ties and maintaining ties means Jannah. Similarly, the best relationship, as Islam puts it, is between after the relationship that we have with our Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who is Rahmatul Lil Alameen. The best of the best relationship is the relationship between a father and a son and a daughter.
Right. And coming back to 21st century, Ahmed, where we see that there's a lack of civility on the social debates, on the social media, especially the cyber affairs when it comes to that. And I do feel one of the important point and one of the important issue that we are facing today is, again, people are focusing too much on their rights and not their responsibilities. And there's sort of an anonymity which social media gives to people, where they can write anything, any sort of value, any sort of talk on it without getting accountable for that. And whereas in Islam, you are constantly being aware of the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are aware of the fact that if you are sinning, Allah is watching you, and you're going to pay for that when it comes to that. So Sandhu Sahab, I really wanted to ask you, how can we ensure that there is a civility, there is not a lack of civility on the debates on the social media, and modernize ourselves in the image of Islam, not in the image of West?
Well, again, always a very philosophical question, as you profess that. So Quran says, وَاعْبُدُ اللَّهَ وَلَا تُشْرِكُ بِهِ شَيْئًا وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَبِذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَجَارِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى وَجَارِ الْجُنُبِ وَالصَّاحِبِ بِالْجَنبِ وَابْنِ السَّبِيلِ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ. So, the social circle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines is al-aqrab fal-aqrab. Those who are near you have the most rights amongst you.
True.
How can we extend our good values to the social media, who are far away people? Of course, technology is bringing them closer and closer. But charity begins at home.
True.
You spend 90% of the time with your parents, with your siblings, with your mom, with your dad, with your relatives, and I think and that is the right way to go about it. And you spend a little bit of time, maybe an hour or two, on social media. So if you practice good relationship at your home, then is there only a chance that you will be able to spread good values on the internet.
Right.
So I would say, whatever is what goes around comes around. So how you are reacting with your bloodline, this is being reflected on the internet. This means we are not doing what we should be doing as a ummah, with our parents, with our siblings, with the nearest bloodlines, with the neighbors. We don't take care of what our neighbors are going through, especially after the urbanization of what has happened. The metropolis and the metropole cities, the value system is imploding.
Right.
It's on rather we could say it is on the verge of implosion. We really need to create a social emergency now.
True.
The social emergency needs to be created in the sense that we really need to revisit what's going on in the society, what's going on with the elites of Pakistan, how they are interacting with each other, what language we are using with each other, and that's again a far off thing. The problem lies there in our households.
Within the household.
Within the household. The problem lies really where the child goes to the education system. I don't even call this at the moment. I don't call it as an education system. It's a learning system only. There's a difference between learning and education. Learning is just acquiring the knowledge, but education is how to apply that knowledge into the society, into the into politics, into the social fabric, into our akhlaqiyat, into our morality and values, into our ibadah, into our aqaid. So this is education, and where there we lack.
Well, what is the reason? If you allow, I mean, what is the reason that a child is very comfortable not speaking to his or her parents?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question.
Yes.
One of my mentors, Mufti Abdul Rauf Sahib Sakharvi, he recommended me a book, Qasdus Sabil, written by Mufti Shafi Sahib Rahimahullah. So he said that if you want to go and find a teacher or a mentor for yourself, first go and see how his followers are actually, what value system the followers have. So if the value system of followers is good, then the teacher is good. He's on excellence. So what the core of education lies in the personality of the teachers or the mentors of the nation. So, and I can definitely tell you this, we are really lacking on that front. I know I've got my children in public schools, in private schools. I don't see the value over there. Yes, we are going on a new curriculum system, but I'm most worried about the personality of the people who are teaching that curriculum. Are they have they been mentored by someone who was really who really qualified to be a mentor? So the mentorship and the teaching of the nation should be done by the best people. And unfortunately,
again, finding the best people.
The definition of best people,
is a dilemma, I think. And I was discussing with Ahmed before.
I can answer this question very quickly. I think we should.
Sure.
لقد كان في رسول الله أسوة حسنة. لقد كان فيكم رسول الله أسوة حسنة. So the best teacher is going to be the person who upholds the Sunnah of the Prophet in every walk of life.
Yes.
Because he is, again, let's connect back, he is Rahmatul lil Alameen, and Allah is Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. So a teacher with the value system of compassion, mercy, being a da'i, being a murabbi. This is the thing that we want to see in our teachers, whether he upholds the Sunnah or not.
The true definition of teacher, yes.
Yeah, the true, how he sits, how he stands, how he talks, how he walks, how he carries himself, how he talks to people, how he's teaching. For example, I can tell you this: we've got a big problem in our schooling systems. I think Western schooling systems have realized it, but we have still not realized. Our teachers get abusive while teaching. I'm not telling all of them, but
most of them. Let's put it that way.
But a good lot of them. Yes. They teach through stick, not through the attitude. I remember when I went into I was lucky enough to go to a modern English medium school. I was then again lucky enough I was educated in ICB, one of the best model schools. I went to a madrasa for 18 years. If I compare these three schooling systems, but I went to the best madrasa, one of the best madrasas in Pakistan. So I could clearly see people or the mentors who were following the Sunnah of the Prophet were much better mentors and teachers in these three schooling systems as compared to those who were not following the system of the Sunnah of the Prophet. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Anas ibn Malik tells, he was there for years with Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in his childhood, and he as a child sometimes he used to forget what Prophet ordered. Once Prophet ordered him to go to fetch someone, and he saw children playing. he forgot the orders, he started watching the match or the game over there, and didn't return for a time lapse. Prophet went after him. He said he saw him seeing people, children playing. He did not say a word to him. He just said, "What are you doing?" Just like with such a compassion and mercy. And he said, in those years of my education, I don't remember Prophet getting angry at me.
Not a single time.
This is the Sunnah of the Prophet. And why are we aggressive, offensive sometimes as a nation? Because the people who teach are aggressive and offensive upon us. The same thing reflects, as I said, what goes around
comes around. That's got to be the motto.
Right.
I think that's very important, Hajra, that even with our kids, in society as well, compassion is something that is needed.
Compassion is important. And Ahmed, I would like to add something to the conversation here. If you call someone to the Islamic ethics nowadays, they're going to say that you do not impose your belief system onto them. And I do feel that this is a very offensive statement for me, because how am I imposing my system? Imposing is, if someone is drinking and is Muslim, then vandalizing their bar or something, that is imposition of that.
But that has happened.
Yeah, and asking someone that you should be doing this rather than not this is exactly the sort of moral system or ethical system that we need to be compliant of, because this is the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam way of doing things. And we have seen the way the modernity has progressed, the darker faces of the modernity, how things are unraveling, and the best retort and the best save towards that system is the system of Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in order to re-enlighten our soul and refresh our soul with the beauty or the facets of Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we would request our Naat Khan to have a Naat for us. But before that, we're going to thank Sandhu Saab for having been here.
Thank you very much, sir.
And enlightening us about the Holy Prophet and Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Hukm Sharif for that matter. So with that, we are saying a goodbye, but we will also ask and request our Naat Khan to recite the Naat for us.
Yes, sir.
بنے دونوں جہاں شاہ دو سرا کے لیے بنے ہیں دونوں جہاں شاہ دو سرا کے لیے سجی ہے محفل کونین مصطفیٰ کے لیے سجی ہے محفل کونین مصطفیٰ کے لیے بنے ہیں دونوں جہاں میرے کریم میرے چار ساز و بندہ نواز میرے کریم میرے چار ساز و بندہ نواز تڑپ رہا ہوں تیرے شہر کی ہوا کے لیے تڑپ رہا ہوں تیرے شہر کی ہوا